Alrighty, welcome back to Let's Play Bioshock 2. So, the last video ran a little bit short, but so this one is going to run a little bit long, so that'll be okay in the long run. Like I said, had I edited things better, the way I wouldn't have to encounter this issue, but it'll all work out just fine. The last and final Big Daddy protecting the last and final little sister in Dionysus Park is right over here, and there's a security camera there that's going to help me out with this fight. That should be easy enough. So we get a new tonic from that research there, the Deadly Machines, which is going to be useful. I'm going to equip that as soon as possible for my mechanically friendly setup I have going on here. Speaking of which, we're going to go and whip out the security command too, and summon our security bot who's going to help us in this encounter as well. Really, like I said before, earlier in the LP, the fighting Big Daddies in this game is just not nearly as much of a big deal as it used to be. They're still tough, but it just feels like we can handle ourselves a little bit better than in the previous game. Because we are one, but obviously in the previous game, there were some cheap tactics to beating Big Daddies, of course, such as the electric gel and the trap bolts, but we don't have things like that are quite as cheap in this game, but they just overall don't feel like the game has to make such a big deal out of killing them. But you fight them pretty much the same way too, which is another aspect of that. Yeah, even the regular double lot buck with the damage upgrade still does a great deal of damage, even this elite bouncer here. Yeah, that was a regular spear, that wasn't going to do much. Go. Alrighty, the big boy goes down and we claim our final prize.
You're never gonna...
So now we gotta go do the final gather locations with her. Now there's one of them right here. Normally I never do this location, but I'm gonna give it a try this time. Just for the hell of it, because I don't normally do it, I can't really guarantee that great of a setup here, but I'm just gonna going off the top of my head. Wow. Sometimes I hate you, security bot. Sometimes I hate you. But anyway, I'm pretty much just going off the top of my head here for whatever I have that I think would be a good location to put stuff. Obviously, you don't have to be perfect, though. You know, I know I've said before that sometimes the close quarters work out all okay for these gathers. Sometimes that's true, but really the only thing I really benefit from with having close quarters is the fact that oh, sorry, I am tired. The fact that there's not a whole lot of range between you and the enemies for them to use weapons on you, which is pretty nice. But here, this. Wow, I'm such an idiot. Walking through my own trap spear like that. This has not gone well so far. I don't think I'll ever use this area again. But I'm also kind of low on auto turrets there. I only had one of them to deploy. What happened to that overload of them I had in one of the previous levels? That was well-placed proximity mine, though. You know what? The defenses are working out pretty good, I say. Yeah, I don't have to do anything. Well, I do, but, you know. They're doing a good job of doing my work for me, which is what they're intended to do. Anything where we can kind of divert our attention elsewhere is a good thing. Now, the drill dash is still so powerful, even at this point in the game. I think that's everything been triggered yet. Oh, about the launcher there. Usually, whenever I use it, into the ceiling with you. Usually, whenever I use it, they explode on impact because they hit the enemy directly or at their feet or whatever. But I'm not sure exactly how long it takes for the grenade to explode if you shoot it just kind of near an enemy or just shoot at anything at random. It might take a few seconds for the grenade to actually go off that way. And I'm not sure like if that's reliable at all to kind of plant it there and wait for enemies to run into it, but it'd be worth experimentation, but usually you can just kind of hit the enemy directly. I'm going to check in the previous game. Same grenade physics and all that. Pretty much the same weapon. I think I said when we first picked it up, it's probably the most similar to its original game's counterpart than any of the weapons here. The machine gun is also very similar as well. Same ammo types for that as well. Alright, so this is a gather place I actually particularly like. I don't know why, it's just a very, to me it's a very memorable place when it comes to this level. I always, when I think back about all the gathers you do in Dionysus Park, amongst like the dozens of them we end up doing, this is the one that I remember very well. These cyclone traps are amazing, especially in places that have low ceilings like that other room. Of course, now with Cyclone Trap 3, we don't really have to worry about the height of the ceiling because they get launched ridiculously far into the air. So here's Rachel here to help us. We've spawned her out of thin air using this very command 2, and hopefully she will be useful this time around and not run into a proximity mine, which we haven't placed this time. So it should all work out. Like I said, I usually try to go for the best setup I can, but I'm kind of in a time crunch here, and I want to get this out of the way as fast as possible and get out of this damn level. Even though, like I said, it's a good level, it's really dragging its feet here. But if I don't really feel like there's a good way to utilize it, I will not use every single one of the defensive trap type weapons and abilities that I have. Even though most of the gathers from now on until the end of the game will be the full setup of everything you can use and will use. Aside from the target aiming, of course, which I say really would be good for these gathers, but I never just decided not to get it. So that's the Solid Slug, ladies and gentlemen. That thing is amazing, and I think it's the first time I've demonstrated it, and it's fantastic. It, like I said, it's a solid slug, so there's no scatter or anything. It fires straight, which is kind of cool to do. It's a very unique thing to do with a shotgun in most FPS games, because most shotguns have, you know, a scatter shot. You can hit this guy from way over here and see how it goes right through him like that, and also it has a tremendous amount of what do you call it? Force to it, to where it'll knock the enemy back and send them like hundreds of feet behind you or something ridiculous like that. And it's especially hilarious to use against brute splicers because it's technically an anti-personnel round, but it's good against single large targets. Again, it takes out the fun of the scatter shot effect, and it also has a very vicious sound effect that goes with it too, which is made equally vicious by the damage upgrade we have. I'm not sure what it would sound like otherwise. But yeah, it's awesome. I love it. One of the many fantastic things about the shotgun in this game. But we're done with all the gathers in Dionysus Park, and I can go ahead and return my, what do you call it, my little sister to the vent and get the final amount of Adam to get the final piece of the story. But there's a little side area over here that I want to demonstrate, but it's filled with cameras and turrets and everything. Now, some of these might be useful if you wanted to do an encounter in here. But to me, they're just kind of in my way, and I'm not going to go back through here ever again. So once I'm done here, and my research has been completed on security, so I can't research these guys anymore. So I'm just going to destroy them. Oh, hi. Yeah. I think there's a cat, there's like a frozen cat around here named Schrodinger, which is kind of funny. I don't know what the significance of that is really, but it's there. There's another machine tonic we're going to equip soon whenever we buy the slots for with our newly acquired Adam that we're getting. Damn it. There's also the only real reason I'm going back here is for stuff in the safe, and the fact that there's a very nice little Easter eggy audio diary back here that I think is nice to pick up. If I can find it. Nope, not in there. There's a vent like totally right behind me too. I could just break out the sister too, but there's no, even though it says we can take it to the vent, there's no, that particular vent does not show up with the yellow around it. I'm not sure why. I thought it was the vent closest to you that does that. But maybe after the game already designates one, it can't do it to another one. Anyway, here's the audio diary, and it's a fontaine. Now, spoilers from the first Bioshock if you haven't actually played it, so.
Who'd have thought? Rapture. Paradise of the confidence man.
It's nice to hear Fontaine's voice again in the enhanced audio quality of this game's audio diaries.
I figure the accent gives me an excuse to lock myself in a room with a bottle and count the cash. War's on in full now, boy. And I've got a hell of a surprise for Andrew.
That's one thing I'm kind of curious about Bioshock Infinite, is if Bioshock Infinite will have audio diaries. I'm thinking it won't. Actually, no, I take that back. It might, but it'll be stuff that's mostly incidental to the plot. There might be a handful of... It will probably be all stuff that happened before the event. Actually, no, they probably could do audio diaries in that game. They could do a lot of stuff that has to do with the construction of Columbia and all the stuff that... events that transpired before the game that get into like all the politics and the ideals and the morality of all the characters and stuff like that, much like these games do. So never mind, I'm pretty sure they could do it. I don't know if they actually will or not, but it could. It's possible. Sorry for that contradiction there. But I am actually, one thing I will say though, I have been completely ignoring all the most recent trailers for Bioshock Infinite because I do not, I'm at the point where I don't want to know anything about the game anymore. I just want it to come out and I just want to play it, knowing nothing more about it. I already think I know too much, and I really just want it to be a surprise. I really don't want to know what the gameplay is going to be like or anything like that. I want it to be a total surprise, and I have a feeling it's going to be glorious.
Stop listening. Stop. Difficult, isn't it? Human verbal cues are defensive coloration.
That's I think a lot of people's biggest problem with Bioshock 2 is the fact that you know too much about it having played the first one. It just seems all too familiar to you, which I don't think that should affect the game gameplay-wise at all, because I still think it's a great game gameplay-wise because it has the same formula as the previous game. But I think a lot of people fault it for that reason, that it's the same thing over and over again. But I really can't fault it for that when it's something so great. I mean, I'm not trying to say it's not a lesser game than the previous one, because it is, but anyway, there's a vent we can use, even though it's taking me forever to get to the damn thing. And obviously after this, we're going to have a few things more we have to do to get out of here. Actually, one thing before we actually go to the exit. I have a lot of Adam right now. You guys know what I'm going to be using that for, oh yes.
She was returning. He knew they would blame him, so he found a way to silence them all. And now he's trying to cover it up.
That's it. Now all that old dirt stays underground, and Lamb will be none the wiser. Hey, come on back. I've unlocked the train for you. But remember, if Lamb catches you, mum's the word.
Okay, so we've completed all our core objectives here, but one more thing we have to do. Like I said, I have a ton of Adam, but I'm going to be using it in the next level for some very good stuff.
For her sake, I have made it clear to these men.
Oh, I love the Cyclone Trap 3. That's hilarious. Just knock them off some stairs into the wall and kill them with it. I could use this all day. I'm really surprised I've neglected to use this thing in combat as much as I have, because I've really been using it for gathers when it's really a fantastic plasma just to be able to drop at the knees of your enemy, or the feet rather of your enemy. There might be a few things I want to get now. I don't know.
Head on back to the train station.
I eventually do want to get those gene. If you're playing along with me right now, I eventually now this would be a good time to get those gene tonic slots to get those machine upgrade ones that I got previously that I said I would want to equip for that setup. I don't know the specifics of the two I just got. Some of them I might not want actually, but for that setup, I think it would be acceptable. So, but in case you guys forgotten, we have the obligatory fight with the big sister to deal with because we dealt with all the little sisters. And having this be plot-related fights does not exempt this level at all from being including of that. But I guess Sophia's like having a mad rage and sending a crap ton of enemies at us or whatever. So in typical fashion, so we have a ton of other guys to deal with in addition to the big sister, which is really, really annoying. So I may want to deal with all those guys first. I may want to deal with all those guys first if I can, because obviously we don't want the big sister to heal off of them, even though she probably will anyway, because she's a cold-hearted witch and will do that. There we go. It's faster just to kill them and then to reduce her health again after she's regenerated from them. One thing I will say about the big sister is they definitely program some interesting abilities into her to make it a good adversary, and the ability to regenerate is definitely one of those, because no other enemy in the game, or in the previous game for that matter, could do that. So it definitely adds a new dynamic to it that is unique and different. It's not just an even tougher Big Daddy, essentially. It's tough in a different way, which is interesting to me. You need to be more conscious of that telekinesis, though. Yeah, there you go. You eat some Cyclone Trap 3 too. Is it just me, or does she have static discharge that tonic can't? Because you see like a big static shockwave go around all sides of her after we hit her with the electric bolt. I might just be crazy. But either way, it doesn't seem like it's stunning her for very long. It usually doesn't. Go ahead and pull out all the stops here. Crap. Go ahead and put that to a stop. Sit down. Oh, this is gonna be great. Ah, oh, that was fantastic. I love the phosphorus bug. Oh, that was intense. So now I guess we can head back to the beginning. So, much like, what was her name? Grace Holloway, we now have another character whose fate lies in our hands, and it's Dan the Bull. We can decide if he lives or dies, and it's, like I said, is a morality decision that will affect the ending. Now, I'm not sure if the ending changes depending on which specific characters you choose to let live or die, but I know how it changes if you choose, one or the other. Like they all live or they all die. Obviously, for the completely evil and obviously horrible run, we're going to be killing everyone, like I said. So, but how are we gonna do it?
Sweet Jesus, Lamb knew, and she just let me hang myself out the. Oh, God. No. Come on, pal. The train's ready. Just let me live.
And we cyclone trapped him into the ground, which actually was very underwhelming. I was expecting that to be hysterical, but it really wasn't.
So, Lamb broke out, and she's coming back.
Alright, so we're done here. Like I said, that was a good level, but I think we're moving on to my favorite level next. I can't wait for that. The sooner the better.
I've heard a lot of these people down here talking. Some of them I know.
This is an area, this is a level that we heard like loads and loads about in the previous game, but we never actually saw it. Now we will.